Welcome to the Lead Well podcast. Around here, we believe leadership shouldn't cost you your peace, your well-being, or the parts of yourself you've worked so hard to reclaim. I'm your host, Trasetta Washington, leadership wellness coach and strategist, and my mission is to give you practical, actionable steps that are going to help you reduce overwhelm, lead more effectively, and build a sustainable rhythm for both you and your team. Let's go ahead and dive into today's conversation. Great day, leaders. Today, we are discussing the hidden cost of caring too much at work. Now, it is very common for us as leaders to feel like we have to pick up the slack. And most of us don't start out from this place of overfunctioning, right? It happens really slowly over time. You step in one time, then you step in again, and then next thing you know, it's the expectation where your team is constantly coming to you to fix things or to jump in when things are a little bit crazy. And it often comes from a place of care, right? It's not that you're trying to control everything, although that does happen. Usually it's because you just care. You care about your team, you care about the outcome, you care about things being done from a place of excellence, right? And what that ends up starting to look like is, like I said, you become the default fixer when something breaks down. You start holding on to the decision making that really could be shared by members of your team. You don't have to make every single decision, but you get in this place where you just become accustomed to making decisions as well as your team expecting you to be the one to make the decision. And so you start to just quietly absorb work just to keep things moving. And this can be very weighty for you as a leader. Because what ends up happening is you are carrying this emotional labor that other people don't see. Decision fatigue is real. The more decisions that you have to make, the more it depletes your willpower, it depletes your energy, and it depletes your mental focus. And so that constant decision making ends up creating this place where you don't get any mental rest. And you can't think strategically if you're constantly on, if you don't have the space to be able to step away and give yourself that mental break. Not only that, you can end up starting to feel responsible for outcomes and things that you really and truly can't fully control. And so what ends up happening? Well, stress, right? Experiencing chronic stress becomes basically your baseline. You start operating from survival mode, and it just becomes your way of being. You don't expect anything different. You are in this place where even though you're sleeping at night or even taking naps, you're resting, you still wake up tired. Your sleep, your rest doesn't ever really feel restorative. It's like, yeah, I know that I got 7 hours of sleep last night or however many hours of sleep last night, but you wake up still feeling tired. And that causes you to be less present in your relationships, your personal relationships, because work starts to follow you home, right? So that's kind of like, that's the personal cost. But then there's also a professional cost that you experience because those important initiatives that you really want to push forward, they start to stall. You're not able to move them forward, or the momentum is extremely slow because you're just spread so thin. Everything feels urgent. And when everything feels urgent, nothing feels strategic. Nothing can be strategic because you're just being pulled all over the place, and your role starts to become unclear even to you. Your team's not really sure. And part of the reason they're not sure is because you're not sure. Because you're stepping in and allowing yourself to be pulled into things that really and truly aren't your responsibility. So the team becomes dependent upon you instead of you developing them and increasing their capacity, right? You make dependence, right? So people are just sitting around waiting on you to make all the decisions or to step in instead of taking the initiative and leading the charge in things that really and truly should be in their wheelhouse. So what you start to see in your team is there's a decrease in initiative because ownership is unclear. No one really knows who's responsible for what. And listen, we're responsible as leaders. We're the ones that are responsible for that. And we end up, it's not something that we really want to do. But what ends up happening is we normalize this overfunctioning because oftentimes early on in our leadership, it gets rewarded. So it feels validating to us. It feels like it's the responsible thing to do, or that it's being reliable or even noble. Not only that, there's a little bit of fear that we experience because letting go can start to feel riskier than actually holding on to something. So by starting this pattern or creating this pattern of overfunctioning, not having those clearly defined roles, it erodes at your own well-being. Your nervous system never really gets an opportunity to settle down. You are leading from a place of reactivity instead of from intention, and leadership starts to feel really heavy for you instead of it being purposeful and impactful. So you might be saying, okay, Trasetta, I hear you. Yes, I'm experiencing all of these things. I don't know how I got here, and I certainly don't know how to get myself out. Well, I'm here to help. So here's how you can start to release the things that really, truly were never yours to begin with. Number one, first thing you need to do is start noticing what are the things that you just automatically take on. Where do you just jump in without even thinking about it? So as you start to notice that, I want you to pause before you step in. Now, of course, you may not catch it in the very beginning. First, it's about that realization. It's about that awareness. Once you're aware that, I normally step in these types of scenarios, now you can be on the lookout for that to happen, and you can pause, take a moment to pause before you start to step into that scenario and ask yourself whether or not your involvement is truly necessary. There's a few internal questions that you as a leader must ask yourself. What am I holding on to that someone else can own? What would happen if I didn't step in this time? Am I protecting outcomes or am I preventing growth? Asking yourself those questions can help you to determine whether or not it's appropriate for you to step in to assist or allow the team member to step up and take the initiative and increase their own capacity. So I want to give you a little mindset shift here. Just a little reframing, if you will. Letting go is not abandonment. What you're creating is an invitation for the people on your team to step up. Leadership really includes creating space for others to be developed. It's not just about you stepping in and filling in any gaps. There's team members that could fill in gaps if they were given the opportunity to expand, grow, and develop. So here's your action item. I want you to identify one thing, just one thing that you can release this week. Not everything, just one. And then notice what shifts in you and in your team when you do release that thing. Now, if you're carrying more than you realized, nothing's wrong with you. Like I said, this is very common. Listen, I'm guilty. But awareness is the beginning of change. Once you know, now you're poised to be able to make a shift so that you can show up in a way that serves you and your team better. Leadership is not going to get lighter by accident. It's going to get lighter by choice. You have to choose to do things differently. You have to choose to lead differently. You have to choose to make decisions differently, right? And, if you want some support in untangling the mess of job responsibility so that you can figure out what's really yours to carry and what could be handled by your team, then I want to invite you to join me inside the Lead Well Academy. It's a space where leaders slow down, get clear, and rebuild their capacity. I designed it to help you lead with intention instead of from this place of constant urgency. You can find the information on how to join inside of the show notes. It's completely free. Go ahead, take a look whenever it feels right. And remember, you don't have to carry leadership alone. You have a team. That's what they're there for. And you can increase your own capacity when you create space for them to increase their own capacity. So until next time, here's to leading and living well.